Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about economics and crypto and lots of other fun things. In today's video, I just wanted to give you a short update with a little bit of perspective on a smaller scale and on a longer scale. And my hope is that you will finish watching this video feeling hopeful about what the future looks like for Bitcoin, for crypto. I know that there's a loud group of people who are just saying it's over, pack your bags, see you in 2028. And no matter where we go from here, even if we went to something like $80,000 or $70,000, I am telling you that which I'm not saying that, but just pay attention to. I have two charts I'm going to show you. One short term, one focused on the long term. We are far from over, and we might actually be a little too far from over for your comfort. So what do I mean by that? We'll get into it. But first of all, just some short-term perspective on Bitcoin. You can see, 3 points make a trend line, okay? That's the rule. 2 points do not make a trend line. 3 points very much make a trend line. The more points that you get of interactions on that trend line, the more that it's like this is a trend line and we need to break it, okay? And there are 6 interactions with this trend line recently. One, the all-time high on August 14th, and then that big pump, everyone was all excited. Bitcoin got to $117,000 on August 22nd. That was the day of Jackson Hole, Jerome Powell's Jackson Hole speech. And then we went down. That was a bizarre weekend. I don't use the M word much, manipulation. I don't use that much, but that weekend when Bitcoin just dumped the way it did, that was bizarre. All right. And then, okay, we climb back up a little bit, get to the trend line, and then another big dump on Friday. And here we are, and we did interact with this trend line and got rejected there again. But something very important that I want to draw your attention to is I don't really pay attention to the bull market support band very much. I know that's a big Benjamin Cohen thing. But one thing that I remember from 2021 is paying attention to the bull market support band in September. And in particular, the 20-week SMA, which is this red moving average here. Because every September in Bitcoin's existence, Bitcoin has had some kind of interaction with the 20-week simple moving average. So when Bitcoin was at $124,000, and you were prepared going into September, oh no, the 20-week SMA, I can't even imagine something like that happening. And here we are now, and on September 1st, we've hit the 20-week SMA. At, right now, the 20-week SMA is $107,000. I'm not going to pull this up, but if you look at 2021, it was really fascinating because we rode along the 20-week SMA and held that for about a week. And that was the peak fear moment in September of 2021. And a lot of people were saying it's over at that time. And then we rallied to $69,000 and then it was over. But here we are, amazingly, September 1st of 2025. And here we are, we've had our interaction already with the 20-week SMA. So could it be that this is a floor? I'm not saying that this is a floor, but you could make a compelling case that we are going to hold the 20-week SMA for this month. Certainly we will have wicks below it. We could even have some daily closes below it. It's a weekly moving average, which means we could have daily closes below it, but hopefully we'll hold that on a weekly basis. And so, we're at a line in the sand if that's the case. And perhaps what we would see is hopefully maybe even this week, a break through this trend line, a back test of the trend line. Forgive the crudity of the drawing. I'm not calling for us to go down to 106. It's possible, but a back test of the trend line, and then hopefully some kind of a new uptrend on the daily chart. That is within the realm of possibility. Now, I'm not saying that we've bottomed. Not calling for a bottom. I think just solely thinking about Bitcoin right now, that the risk to reward is in our favor, even more so than a lot of other times. If there's anything I could compare this to, I really wouldn't compare it to that move under $100,000 in June for Bitcoin. This is a little bit more sad, depressing. The percentage drop is more than that. But then I wouldn't compare it to this either. The peak tariff fear, that was more intense. So it would be somewhere between the peak tariff fear and World War III fears in June. We're at a somewhere in between those two levels, which to me just I would say that's an opportunity to make some gains, at least on Bitcoin. So a couple of things I want to show you. The short term thing here is just look at short term holder MVRV Bollingers. Okay, so I pay attention a lot to the MVRV Z-score. This is essentially a measurement. It's market value over realized value. Market value is the market cap over the realized value, which is the average price of the last Bitcoin, of every Bitcoin the last time it was sold. Just average price of every Bitcoin the last time it was sold. The realized cap, basically. The market cap over the realized cap. And there's been times historically when the market cap has been below the realized cap. And that has been historically a very fantastic time to buy. But most of the time, the MVRVZ score is above the realized cap. The market cap is above the realized cap. And so this cohort is just short-term holders. Short-term holder MVRV Bollingers. Now, this goes below zero plenty of times. That means short-term holders are selling at a loss. And you can see here that we are at a level that we have not seen. That's why, when we were talking about June, I was not comparing this to June because short-term holders were still very much in profit. But right now, short-term holders, I wouldn't say they've capitulated, but they're selling at a significant loss. And we are in oversold territory. Now, I do want to draw your attention to the fact that we spent in early 2025, we spent a decent amount of time in oversold territory. But, Bitcoin didn't go all that much lower in that period of time. That this drop right here where my mouse is, that was $78,000 for Bitcoin. And then this drop was $75,000. It's a little, I don't remember exactly that dollar amount. It was under 78. And then this was the 74 and change, and that was the bottom April 7th. So, okay, we've had our first interaction. Could it be that we have something similar to this? Yeah, sure. But if you remember back then, a lot of people were thinking the world was going to change fundamentally. And right now, there's nothing, we're not in a comparable situation. So there isn't as much opportunity to inject fear into the market. Now, we did have a significant dip under when we had the yen carry trade unwind. But two comparisons here. Okay, same deal. When you look at the VIX, let me actually pull up the VIX from August of 2024 and from April of 2025, and then compare it to today. What you'll see is significant fear. Just major fear in the market. Look at, here we go, April of 2025, the VIX got up to a score of 60. When you see the VIX that high, that's a fantastic buying opportunity. And then look at the yen carry trade unwind. It was even scarier, actually, for a very brief period of time. We got up to 65, 66, something like that. And just for some perspective, when was the last time we've ever had a period more scary than that? Was COVID. We got up to 84, and then before then, I believe, was the Great Financial Crisis. So these last two moments here were very high on the scale of fear in the market. Right now, the VIX is at 16. That's nothing. So maybe, what could cause us? Is there any anticipation that the VIX is going to get up to any level of fear like that? No. The fact that these two things happened within a span of 8 months, that's very rare. So the idea that it would happen again, I tend to think not. Which again means that, from this perspective, this is probably a really good time to buy. So we'll see what the month gives us. Bitcoin seasonality, a hypothesis that I have in my brain. Is like so many people are of this mentality that September is going to be this terrible month. And it seems like we might have front run a bad September. And so what happens September 2nd when the stock market opens? Today I'm making this video. You're watching this on September 2nd, most likely. I'm making this video. It's September 1st. It's Labor Day. It's just like another weekend day. I wouldn't even count today as the first real trading day of the month. So we'll see. We'll see. But, this is a time, I measure the level of fear in the market in comparison to other times. Even if it's a dead cat bounce or something like that, it makes sense to be a buyer right now. Now, the other thing I want to point out to you is more of a long-term perspective, just to give you some perspective. Why has this cycle sucked so much? This will answer that question. And there's a similar chart that I share from a guy named Decode, but this is from Tech Dev. Now, Tech Dev really messed things up in 2021, but I think he's learned his lesson. He was a moon boy, and he remained bullish for much longer than he should have. But a lot of I don't pay attention to a lot of his stuff all that much anymore. But what I pay attention to, what I've seen recently, I'd say is some really good perspective here. Now, Bitcoin cycle is explained. This is not focused on halvings. It's focused on business cycles. So let me just read it real quick. USD tops at red bar tops, not even red yet. Impulse tops at blue signal tops. Last cycle, only one where red and blue were different. By most alts top May 2021. Bear market while red bars decline and ends when bars go green. Bull market ramp while bars are green. Still here, longest ever. Bull market goes parabolic when bars flip red. Hasn't even started. Red bar profile determines blue bull market profile. 2013 double pump. 2017 smooth parabola. 2021 rounded top. Okay. Not the halving, not the narratives. The business cycle is all you ever need to describe every aspect of the Bitcoin cycle. And so this is what I was talking about earlier in this video when I was saying, like, at least with Bitcoin, I mean, but altcoins, they're in the gutter, Somebody with altcoins as well. It's just, man, we are not even close to potentially being at a parabola. Potentially, I tend to think, we might have a peak in November, December. I am of the mindset right now that that's not going to be the top. That's going to be another local top similar to November, December of 2024 and March of 2024. I do wonder that. And I think a lot of people are going to get burned again. But then if you look at this, I mean, something that I truly believe, and I've been saying for a while, is that the peak for this cycle for Bitcoin is going to be closer to the next halving than the previous one. And this would align with that. And the frustrating thing about this is that, the bears, they're going to look really smart if that's how it plays itself out. We have another build up and things are exciting for a brief period of time, but that's not it. That's not the peak. I know. So what would make me argue with myself on that is that Bitcoin dominance is in a bear market and it is going down. And so maybe there's an opportunity to make a lot of money on altcoins, and maybe this is just focused on Bitcoin. But we have a long way to go. And euphoria, it just doesn't even look like there's an end in sight. Euphoria might still be really far off, like at least a year off. This is all just, what are you going to do? Here's the thought. Don't wait for 1,000 people in my live stream on TikTok to sell. And also don't wait for Coinbase to be the number one app. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some level of excitement and then Coinbase came like number 10 in the App Store, and that was the peak. But then one day, Coinbase will be number one in the App Store again. But we might have a little bit of time to go here, or a lot of time to go. So just some food for thought. We may not even be close, honestly. What does that mean for now? That means we let the market lead us. We don't get too euphoric. We don't get too much in despair. We just follow the lead of the market. And what's the market going to give us now? Well, let's wait and see. This might be a local bottom. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. So anyway, that is all I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will certainly be seeing you in another video. Peace.